Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Email me for pricing regarding this or any Watchbox watch. Email me for pricing at tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today we are discussing a 2010 model year boutique exclusive limited edition of 70 pieces from IWC. This is the Big Pilot's Watch Perpetual calendar. It's the reference 5026-28. This watch is overwhelming. It is the Big Pilot's watch with all the trimmings. 46.2 millimeters in diameter in rose gold. It measures 15.8 millimeters thick, from lug tip to lug tip, 56.2 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. The modern-day Big Pilot's watch launched as the 5002 in the year 2002, a throwback to the 1940 Luftwaffe Big Pilot's watch, of which IWC was one of the suppliers. That watch, historically, was 55 millimeters in diameter. This one at 46.2 almost feels like a mid-size by comparison. But on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, you can see that the lugs do overlap. At the edge, they flare out just beyond my wrist, so I'm going to recommend that your wrist be at least 17 centimeters circumference or larger to wear this watch well. It is a pleasure, though, to experience something so well built and substantial. Right down to the strap used, you can see IWC specified a contrasting stitch, gold toned to match the case, large rectangular scale alligator leather. Most Big Pilot's watches come on calfskin, which is cheaper and aviation themed. This watch, being rich, luxurious, and packed with features, as well as a boutique flagship, it comes with alligator leather. Black gloss, large rectangular scale. On the bottom, we have light brown calfskin. And you can see this is a brand new IWC factory strap, no crimping, no gouging. Taking a quick look at the buckle, it includes both satination and polish. It is a massive structure by itself. Internally, there's media blasting. Externally, there's polish and satination. It is a triple finished clasp. The case is familiar. We have a 10.6 millimeter diameter crown. That's just the crown, with a vintage diamond-like profile and integrated or blended lugs with ornamental polished bevels on their flanks. You can see the shoulders of each lug polished. Then we have an inwardly stepped mid-case that visually thins the watch out. We have a vertical portion satinated at the edge of the bezel, and then a conical portion that's polished for contrast. The crown is a screw down. The water resistance is 60 meters. This watch is surface swimmable if you put it on a water resistant strap. The dial is matte black with an instrument style, no nonsense print and calibration inspired by 20th century flight deck instruments from analog aircraft. Let's take a quick look at how much lume we get on this big boy. And as you can see, more than enough. We have lume at the quarters. We have kite style hands, and then we have luminescent sub-registers. Taking a quick look at the dial, there's a lot to love. It has a cruciform symmetry, so you can split it side to side or top to bottom, and it will be mostly symmetrical, the exception being an extraordinary display for the Perpetual calendar that gives us the year, the decade, the century, and the millennium. And we will demonstrate the operation of this mechanism now. IWC watchmaker Kurt Klaus created a mechanically programmed, fully synchronized Perpetual calendar that launched in 1985, and it remains to this day one of the most user-friendly Perpetual calendars in the world. As I adjust the date, everything else, including the year ultimately, and the moonphase, adjusts in sync, and I can adjust very, very quickly if I wish. Every single date, month, leap year, and moonphase indicated is real. That is to say, you can't come up with an imaginary date month because everything is mechanically programmed. So for any given date on any given month in any given year, all of this has been mathematically calculated and then programmed via fixed gearing. Now the watch also has a stop seconds function. Pull the crown out all the way, and that quick setting Perpetual calendar halts the seconds hand, which is coaxial with the day of the week indicator, and that allows you to set the watch to intervals as small as 1 second. So you have a watch that can be set to the millennium, but can also be set to the second. We have a power reserve indicator coaxial with the date over at 3 o'clock, so you can see as I make my adjustments, the loomed sub-register hands are actually the power reserve indicator here, and then the constant seconds over at 9 o'clock. But as I wind the watch, the little power reserve indicator advances towards 7 because this automatic automatic winding behemoth has a 7-day power reserve. We have 2 little aircraft, one pointing up, one pointing down. Here you can see at 11 o'clock, this side of the moon phase is the northern hemisphere moon phase. It's what you see in the northern hemisphere. And then there is the southern hemisphere. That's what you see in the sky above. Turning it all over, we have an enormous movement that is by itself 38.2 millimeters in diameter. The movement arrived as caliber 5000 on the Portuguese automatic in the year 2000. It was then the world's largest automatic winding movement. It remains one of the largest today. Remember, a Rolex Datejust is 36 millimeters. A standard Datejust is smaller than this 38 millimeter movement. What have we got? Well, first note, this is one of 70, the edition year 2010. There's a solid gold double finished medallion in the rotor. It uses a IWC Albert Peloton Paul-based winding system, which he designed for IWC in the late 40s. They implemented it in the early 50s. It has always been very efficient, shock tolerant, and durable. Here it's been upgraded with ceramic pawls so that it is more durable still and creates no dirt on the movement. And that was a problem with older Pelotons. These ceramic pawls stay that problem. Now, because it is a compound movement with a module for the calendar on top of the automatic base, it has a huge 62 joule count, and you'll see it's adjusted in 5 positions, which combined with a free-sprung balance architecture means that it is very precise. Positional deviation is going to be very low. You've got the free-sprung architecture for toughness and precision of adjustment, the 5-position adjustment, which is the same as you'll find on a chronometer, and then you have an overcoil hairspring that centers the mass of the hairspring, so in any position, the hairspring breathes concentrically, keeping very even time. And again, a 7-day power reserve. All of this water-resistant despite the display case back to 60 meters. You can also see that it's nicely decorated, a combination of manual and mechanical finishing, but handsome and price appropriate. And of course, this being a perpetual calendar, you do not need to touch it until the year 2100. Everything will move in sync and stay in sync. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.